So C. Duke Novak, a licensed clinical social worker, draws on his experience as a therapist in private practice and as a social worker on the staff of Mundelein High School to respond to the stresses many folks have been going through due to the COVID pandemic and its aftermath. He has engaged in mindfulness practice for more than 15 years under the tutelage of Dr. Jeffrey Hutter, clinical psychologist out of UCLA. His presentation today focuses on ways to maintain your own well-being and the well-being of those you care about during these times. We warmly welcome Duke to our Tuesday Club today.
Hello. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Duke Novak. I'm a social worker. And I am humbled to be before you today and honored to be speaking to all of you. Thank you to Jewel Gregory and Judith Bond for having me speak here today. Now, the title of my presentation is Taking Care of Yourself and Others During Difficult Times. The difficult times being, we're coming through a pandemic. I work with young people, they're stressed to say the least. My mother lives in a home and she's had a difficult time dealing with the pandemic and things of that nature. I gotta say, I'm a little nervous right now. I'm a little anxious to be before you. Because here I am, I'm 48 years old, speaking to people that have lived longer than I have and know a heck of a more than I do. So I will attempt to share what I've learned and what I know. But I expect to learn from all of you as well as we go on this presentation. So to begin, we're going to do just a little bit of a mindfulness practice. So that might be, foreign to some of you. What is mindfulness practice? It's basically a training of the mind, to put it simply. It's like exercise for the mind, where we exercise our bodies. Mindfulness practice is exercise for our minds. And we're going to start, let's see, does this work? Good? No. We're going to start with a gratitude meditation. So I'm just going to invite you, if you'd like, you can close your eyes. You can keep them open if you like. And if at any time you feel uncomfortable, just stop the directions and just let other people practice. So go ahead, get comfortable. Close your eyes if you like. Keep them open if you like. I'm going to ask that you place in your mind's eye someone that has loved you unconditionally, or someone that you have loved unconditionally. And just picture this person. And if you'd like, you can put a hand over your heart. And just let that love fill up your heart. During difficult times, we often get stuck on the negative. And we forget to take time to appreciate and be grateful for the love in our life, the blessings in our life, and really try to feel that in your heart. We live a lot in our minds. And we can forget to spend time in our heart. So picture this person. Feel the love. And send that love out to this person. You can say the phrases, may you be happy. May you be well. May you be at peace. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be at peace. And then you can say it to yourself. May I be well. May I be at peace. May I be happy. Okay. Slowly bring yourself back to the room. Start to open your eyes. We forget about this energy, especially during difficult times. We get caught up in the problem solving, the fray, the negativity. But it's so important that we still remember that we have this heart and we have love in our lives. And it's helpful to take the time to do this practice. It's this energy, it's this power that can get us through the tough times. It can help us sustain the tough times. I'm going to share with you my blessings. I don't know what I would have done during the past couple of years without my family and the gift of my daughter and the gift of my wife. It's okay to lean on those people. It's okay to ask these people to be there for you. And they were there for me. They fill up my heart every day. Every day. And when I'm having a stressful day or I'm at work and things are going crazy all around me, I can place my hand on my heart and remember my blessings and the love I have in my life. And now I'm going to share with you another blessing. A man that has been my therapist, my coach, my teacher, and my friend, Dr. Jeffrey Hutter. He actually teaches out of UCLA. I met him when I lived out in Los Angeles. I've known him for over 15 years as well. When I was living in Los Angeles, I was going through a dark time in my life. And Jeffrey, with his guidance and his wisdom, helped me through that time. And he continues to do that to this day. We Skype twice a month. And I am so blessed to have met him and to have him as part of my life. I'm the man I am today. I had great parents too. Don't get me wrong. I was born into wonderful parents, lovely parents, a lot of love. But I'm the man I am today thanks to Dr. Jeffrey Hutter as well. I couldn't be grateful enough to this man right up here. He's everything that I'm talking about today has been taught to me by Jeffrey. And I'm sure he has a teacher that's taught it to him. He's taught it to me, and now I can share it with all of you. Another wonderful blessing in my life. And he also, talk about leaning on people. I can call him, I can email him when I'm feeling a certain way, when my mind's not right, and he's there for me. Always has been. So it's key, it's important that you have people in your life that you can share with your feelings, your emotions, your thoughts, and have that person who can process with you, be a listening ear, non-judgmental person. Our loved ones, our friends, very important to have these people in our lives close to us during trying times. It's so important. I couldn't have done it without Jeffrey for the past couple of years either. For the past 15 years, I should say. Okay, we're going to do another mindfulness meditation. Again, mindfulness, our minds are very busy, right? They like to spend time in the future, anxious about what's about to happen, or they like to live in the past, regretting something or nostalgic. Our minds never tend to want to be right here, right now. Our mind takes us away. Our thoughts take us away. So this practice is really the exercise is bringing ourselves, being aware of when our mind kind of goes off, noticing, being kind to ourselves, non-judgmental, and bringing our attention back to the present moment with whatever we may be doing over and over again. That's our reps. So we're going to do this one for just a second. You know the phrase, stop and smell the roses. A lot of times we're not mindful enough to actually smell the rose, to actually taste our food, to actually hear and listen to the music, because our minds are all over. Our minds also love to judge the moment. Oh, why can't it be that? Why does it have to be this way? I wish it were this way. I wish it were that way. Instead of not judging the moment and being present with whatever may be arising. So that's what we're going to practice right now. So again, I invite you, if you'd like to close your eyes, you may. If you want to keep them open, that's fine as well. We're just going to go through the senses. And we'll start with listening. So just place your awareness on your hearing, whatever you hear. Whatever sound. The rumbling of a fan. And now we're going to go to sight. Even if your eyes are closed, what do you see in the back of your eyelids? Place all your awareness on whatever you can see. And remember the instruction, if the mind wanders, just notice that it's gone somewhere else and bring it back to the meditation. And it's okay. If your mind is busy, that's fine. Do not judge. It is what it is. Okay, now we're going to go to touch. So feeling the chair underneath you, maybe rubbing your fingers together, how your clothes rest on your body. All your awareness is on your sense of touch. And if the mind wanders, you just notice that and bring it back. That's okay. That's part of the meditation, right? It's fine. And now smell, whatever you can smell. Place all your awareness on your sense of smell. This room has a specific smell. And then finally, taste whatever's, you can taste at this moment. If mind wanders, just notice, bring it back to the meditation. This is our training. If you're feeling tired, that's okay too. It's what it is. All right, bringing yourself back into the room, opening your eyes, bringing yourself here. I've done this meditation with about 50 teenagers, and by the end of it, they're all asleep. They're all out of there, but they don't get much sleep these days, so our teenagers. So I heard that you're going to have somebody here soon about distracted driving. How fitting is that? This practice, is there's so many benefits to these practices, but one of them is we're often distracted. We have so many things in our lives that can take us away. Also, I hope I get invited to the golf outing or the golf team league sometime soon. Golf is a great meditation. The mind can work when you're golfing, right? After a bad shot, you're hanging on to that shot for the next 3 holes. So this practice is about noticing when that mind isn't present. Now there's, let me see what the next slide is here. So the reason a lot of people think mindfulness practices are selfish, right? I want to say, we don't accuse people who exercise a lot as being selfish. This is just exercise. A lot of people think meditation is just sitting there not doing anything, but it's really just a training of the mind. And the reason we do this training is so that we can be there for others. We have to take care of ourselves so then we can be there for others. Just like Dr. Jeffrey Hutter, he models this. He walks the walk. I'm telling you, I don't even know how many clients he has, but when he's talking to me, he's there with just me. In the moment, every time. It's incredible. And on an airplane, they say, make sure you put your oxygen mask on first before you help others put it on. That's kind of the idea here. You can't pour from an empty cup. The reason we practice is so that we can be there for other people. I'm a school social worker. I'm a therapist. I work at Lurie Children's Hospital as well. If I don't put the work in, I can't do my job. I can't be there for others. Prioritize joy. A lot of times we fill up our to-do list with, a lot of stuff, and we forget to prioritize joy. What brings us joy? My wife is guilty of this. Her to-do list is very long. And I have to remind her, like, hey, where's rest in there? Or watch television show that you like, or go golfing. We forget to prioritize joy. Or just hang out with a friend. So remembering that. Coffee in the morning, routine. I lost all my routines during the pandemic, and it really, I suffered from it. But I don't know if any of you drink your morning coffee, morning tea, whatever it may be. This is a great time to practice mindfulness. A lot of people, we drink our coffee, we watch the news, we're reading the newspaper with it, but what if you took your time, smelled the coffee, tasted the coffee, and just took that moment? It doesn't have to be long, just has to be a couple minutes, where you take that time to be mindful and to be in the moment and to just be, just experience. Moments of mindfulness throughout your day. So, like I said, golf is a great meditation. Riding a motorcycle can be a great meditation. Driving is great meditation. And it's just noticing when the mind isn't there. The mind is a wonderful tool, but it can be not so nice driver of the vehicle because it takes us all over. Mindfulness, we're aware of what's bubbling up. And then we get to choose how we want to respond to those thoughts. Like automatic pilot, right? A lot of us, we tend to be on automatic pilot and we're just reacting and just kind of going through life. But with practice, the mind begins to settle and you're able to be more in control and to make choices about how you respond. Responsibility is like what I like to call it. And then throughout your day. So like I said, drinking coffee in the morning. I mean, you don't have to sit in, the classic meditation pose and practice. Drinking coffee. When your phone notification, take a couple mindful breaths before you check that phone. I work with teenagers. Their attention has been taken over. Taken over. Our kids, they're hooked. I don't know how else to put it. And people are making a lot of money on co-opting their attention. This practice, you get to choose where you place your attention. You're not just like, oh, there's the phone. I got to go over here, got to go over here. No, you start to slow down. Life has become very fast. Very fast. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that here in a second. Presence. The greatest gift you can give. By far. Like I was talking about Jeffrey Hutter, he is like present with me every time we talk. You know when someone's really listening to you, and you know when their mind is somewhere else, or they're thinking about what they're going to say next. But being able to be present with someone, first of all, it feels good when someone's present with me, and then when I'm present with somebody else, I can share that feeling. It's so wonderful to be present with people or to have someone be present with you. But again, our lives have gotten very quick. We're always on the go, go, go. So taking the time to be present with your loved ones, very important. And these are just some points to remember, like for being present, non-judgment. Easier said than done, right? Like I said, our minds like to judge the moment, judge this, judge the person in front of us, judge. And if we can start noticing that bubbling up and not identifying with it, it helps with our presence. Non-reactive. So my daughter, when her mom is reacting to her like behavior, it shuts down any kind of dialogue. All these will shut down any kind of dialogue, non-judgment or judgment or being reactive. The goal is we want to keep dialogue going. We want it to be open. We want the conversation to be open. But if we're judgmental or we're reactive, like, don't do that, the conversation's done. It can really just, you had that wonderful experience talking with your friend, 2 hours, right? Just talking, just letting it go. And it felt good, right? Yeah. But the minute, like, now, if you're into debating, that's fine, debate, like find time to debate with your friends. But if you're looking for a conversation, it helps to be non-judgmental. It helps to be non-reactive. It helps to listen, not thinking about what you'll say next, and keeping the dialogue open. It's a wonder with kids. I see it with kids all the time, even the teenagers I work with. And they have a superpower. I think we all kind of have this superpower. We know when someone is judging us. We know when someone is not being so genuine or not listening to us. Kids really know this. Really know this. So being able to just be present with people can be so healing, so powerful, and so healing. Let's see. What's your name, ma'am? Edie?
And I know Spencer Johnson wrote this, I think it was Spencer Johnson, The Precious Presence.
Can you tell me more about that, Edie?
Well, I believe it was Spencer Johnson years ago. I think I read this book. And the precious presence is the here and now, and maybe enjoying the moment or taking the moment in and not thinking about what's going to happen in the future or whatever is in the past, because it keeps your cognitive thinking the way it's supposed to be. There's also a book I think he wrote, Who Moved My Cheese?
What was that about?
Oh,
Do you remember?
I can't remember exactly what that was about, but I think basically it's about things are changing all the time, and people are resistant to change. And that's really, I think, the essence of this book. I wish I had it now. I probably could get it because it's a great learning thing. Yeah.
What brings you here today, Edie?
Well, I try to come every week. Yeah. And I try to support, and I like to listen to the knowledge that the people have that are presenting. It's very important. And I'm listening to everything you say, and I agree with it. And I totally understand it. I've read a lot of books about these things, and I'm very aware of it. Listening, when I was in high school, I had an English teacher that we had to write a paper on listening. And I thought, this, what does that mean? And I had him the next semester. And again, the same thing, listening. It's very important to me to listen to somebody else. I mean, that's a gift that you're giving to somebody by listening. I learned that a long time ago, and not to try to butt in or anything like that. It makes them feel important and it gives them value.
So great to meet you, Edie. I think you should go up there with the microphone and lead this presentation. That was wonderful. So are you. Simple, right? One question, and I got to meet Edie. You know, it's pretty simple. Yeah,
It's good to be humble. It's very important.
I agree. Thank you, Edie. I don't think Edie knew she was going to be on stage today. It's so simple to give someone your presence and your listening ear. And just like Edie said, it can be so healing. Makes people feel important. So make sure you have these people in your life. And open up to these people, which I think is my next idea here. And that's storytelling. There are so many beautiful stories in this room. Take the time to, I work with young people. They need to learn how to sit and listen to all of your beautiful stories. To slow them, it will help slow them down. So you can ask, can I tell you a story? If you've got young people in your life. Or like your friend, they just told stories for 2 hours. How cool is that? And telling others about times in your life you have persevered can help others. So like, these are tough times, but I'm sure there's been other tough times throughout your life. Share those stories. This is a point in history, but, we've had a lot of history before this moment. Dr. Jeffrey Hutter always reminds me of this, like the bigger picture, the larger context. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, how are we going to get through this? This is horrible, horrible, horrible. And he reminds me, the world kind of works in this way, and it goes through these periods. But please share your stories with whoever, young people, friends, family. It's such an important experience. Jewel Gregory asked me to be here. She brought me out to lunch. I was so moved. She told me story after story. And it was so great to sit there and listen to Jewel's stories. It was like, it made my week, definitely. Such a special experience for me to have sat with Jewel and heard about her. She's a very wonderful, wonderful woman. So share. We can help heal a broken world through storytelling. And I mean, what you said about you and your friend, that was just led me right to this. It's okay. It's fine. It's okay. See, and that's part of the practice, right? Our minds will go here, will go there. They say if you can practice mindfulness in a New York apartment with the subway and all the noise, then you've gotten somewhere. It doesn't have to be a perfectly silent place, even though while you start, it's good to just have some peace and have the environment be sort of suitable for the practice. But it doesn't have to be. You could be sitting on a bus, you could be in the city, wherever. Take any opportunity you have to practice bringing yourself back into the moment. Let me see. So love is not only something you feel, it is something you do. you do. So these are kind of the 3 points that I've hit on today. 3 different things that can help, definitely help with your own wellness when taking care of your loved ones. And the first one's gratitude. Having gratitude. My mother practices this every morning. She says she, just goes through what she's grateful for. And she says it's been helpful. Her mind tends to be on the depressive side at times, can get really bogged down by the world's issues. So this practice has really helped her. Every morning getting up and just going over the things she's grateful for. Mindfulness, that ability to be in the moment with whatever you're doing. You could be washing the dishes and you could turn that into a mindfulness practice. Watch your mind. It'll go here, mowing the lawn, whatever it may be. Noticing the mind, bringing it back, being present to your life. We tend to label our experience, judge our experience. But this practice teaches us to just be with what is. It is what it is. The Buddha tells a story where someone gets shot with an arrow right here in one spot. And then this person gets shot with a second arrow in the exact same spot. And the point of this story is the first arrow, we feel pain. But the second arrow is all that added suffering we put on our experience. Instead of just, okay, it's pain, there's pain. We tend to judge it, we tend to get in our minds, oh my gosh, we get fearful, and the mind just keeps going. I don't know if you saw, or there's a new movie out about the 13 boys, or 12 boys and a coach that were on a soccer team stuck in a cave in Thailand. I think it was like complete darkness, no food for 10 days. Their coach taught them to be mindful. And that's how they survived those first 10 days in this cave. He would say things like, our mind is creating the fear. And the boys would sit together, focus on their breathing, bring their attention back to their breath. 10 days without food or water, or I think they might have had water. I can't imagine that, first of all. And I think of if they didn't have that coach teaching them these practices, I don't imagine it going the way it did. They all survived. They all got out of this cave eventually. But without his tutelage in helping these boys through this experience, no cell phones either. No video games, no television, just them and their thoughts in a cave thinking, life's probably going to end. And they were able to persevere through these practices, through mindfulness. Amazing. And then human connection. We've talked a lot about that today. So important. COVID, like I said, I work with young people. The pandemic really hurt our children. What we tend to do, like I was talking about my mother who tends to be on the more depressive side, we tend to isolate ourselves when we're feeling down. We've got to gather the strength to know in those times to reach out to others, to our loved ones, to our supports. During the the pandemic, I saw human connection with our kids hit a very low point. We'd have kids on Zoom and they'd be in their room with all the windows shut and just sitting there in darkness. And I'd be like, oh boy. Human connection. No man is an island. We're here together. We need each other. And I understand during these difficult times too, we live in a very divided, divisive world in our society. Remember that piece about non-judgment? If we could sit with each other, connect with each other, be present with each other, even though we have differences of opinion, it could, transform our society. Thank you all. I think now is time I will open it up for questions. Please ask away. Thank you. Judith.
I just wanted to mention, I had a minister a while back that I called a Baptist Buddhist or Buddhist Baptist.
Yeah.
And he said something that meant a lot to me. When you're thinking you're nowhere, remember you're now here. And I remember that one a lot.
Oh, I like that. That's beautiful. Yeah, and mindfulness, it did originate with the Buddha way back when or whatever, but it's become a very secular practice, like I said, like an exercise for the brain. Prayer can be a great meditation. You're deep in prayer, and if the mind wanders, you just notice that your mind wanders. It makes your prayer even stronger, your concentration even stronger. So, yeah.
When you were talking at the very, very beginning of your presentation, I am a member of Al-Anon. And for those of you who don't know what Al-Anon is the sister organization to Alcoholics Anonymous. And in Al-Anon, quite often at a meeting, which I do, as a matter of fact, I lived in Texas for 33 years. In the last 10 years that I was there, I attended an open AA meeting. So it was Al-Anon members as well as AAs, or as I call it, drunks and nonners. But quite often at a meeting, there's always a topic, but I would say one topic more than any other is gratitude. And if you stop to think every day in your life, as I do in my life too, there is always something for which to be grateful. I mean, as rotten as things may get, and as crummy as things may get, and as frustrating as things may get, there is always something for which to be grateful. And when you were talking about mindfulness, I had to think of, and I don't know if you know this man, Andrew Clifford, he's in Dallas, okay. My late wife had 12 unsuccessful back operations and lived in just god-awful pain all of the time. Taking heavyweight drugs, morphine, methadone, you name it. And somehow we got guided to this Dr. Andrew Clifford. And his whole thing in terms of pain management was mindfulness. And it's a big concept to grasp. But what Duke is saying is, it's something that you can practice, and it's something you can get hold of. And there were certain instances where she was able to get to a point through her meditation in mindfulness to where she could transcend the pain occasionally, not all the time. She was a mess. But so these are all things. It was a great presentation. So anyway.
Thank you, Bob. See, I knew I would learn from all of you here today. Edie and Bob, thank you for sharing. MBSR is mindfulness-based stress reduction. They've done a lot of research on it on the East Coast. John Kabat-Zinn is the man who kind of started this movement, and it's exactly what Bob mentioned. It's was run in hospitals for pain management, and they saw tremendous effects.
Ernie, are there still questions from the auditorium?
I don't see any more questions from the audience, so you can take it over.
All right, thank you, Arnie. Question I have, as grandparents, how can we help our grandkids deal with mindfulness as these world-shaking issues fight for their attention? I mean, this is something that's part of your job, I'm sure, but help us as grandparents.
What a wonderful question. What's your name?
Ron Montaigne, and I'm helping with the Zoom.
Okay, Ron, what a great question. Because yes, I've worked with kids from 3 years old all the way up to like 25 in some fashion. And that's really one of my passions, is working with young children. My daughter practices mindfulness because she sees me practicing mindfulness. But like I said at the end there, storytelling. You know, I don't know. Kids have a hard time sitting and just listening to a story being told. And like you said, there's these issues going on. There's distractions. You know, what I've seen as a parenting strategy, which I'm guilty of it once and again. But you know, here, take the cell phone or take the video game and go play. You know, just to kind of keep them occupied. Kids need presence, attention. Most of the behaviors, or whatever the case may be, is them calling out subconsciously, pay attention to me. And just like I was saying about presence, my daughter knows when I am fully with her. We have nighttime talks or morning talks together where I have a chance to give her my presence, listen to her, have a conversation. There's research on this too, that if you talk to your children, they are more successful later in life. Attention, presence with our kids. That teaches them mindfulness, modeling it, and taking the time to sit down. Let's talk. Let me tell you a story. Can I tell you a story? And I'm a believer in kids don't need to know everything. My wife will ask me, why did you lie to her? And I said, well, I didn't lie to her. I spoke to her at her developmental age. I think a lot of kids now, they don't need to be seeing the news. They should, in my opinion, shouldn't be exposed to all this stuff. They are exposed to so much these days. And it's okay to, go outside and play baseball, go and play some golf, or play a game with your friends. And I think my wife and I will have conversations in private that I don't feel my daughter needs to be exposed to. It's adult conversation. It's adult topics. Anyone remember Mr. Rogers? He's one of my heroes. And he would go on the TV and kind of during the Vietnam War and talk to parents about how to explain that to their kids. And he didn't say, oh yeah, tell them the gory details. Tell them how the politics up. No. He spoke to them as children, where their minds are at, where they're developmentally at. Yes?
We have one more question from chat, and then we're going to turn it back because there's another question in the auditorium. When
Okay.
Patricia Young, a retired physician, made this comment, and see if you have any thoughts on this or want to add to it. What Patricia is saying is, when someone is feeling anxious or afraid, it can be calming to keep reassuring them that nothing bad is happening right now. In this moment that you are with them, they are not alone.
Yeah, that's beautifully said. We did that senses meditation where we're listening here. That I deal with a lot of students who will have panic attacks, right? Like hyper anxiety. And I'll bring them into the room. I'll say, what do you hear? What do you smell? What do you see? To reassure them. And also what you're saying is you're not alone. Remember I talked about that isolation? We like to think that we're alone in our suffering. We're not. Group therapy can be great. Group talks can be great. A community like you have here is so wonderful and can be so powerful to be able to share and recognize. I do this a lot with teachers, actually. I just did it not too long ago, and they were talking about their year last year and how rough it was. And one of the comments I got was, oh my gosh, I thought I was the only one feeling this. I can't believe you all were feeling this too. And that's, again, that human connection piece. So yes, that's a beautifully said, that you're not alone in your suffering. And the other piece was, yes, you're okay here, like grounding yourself in this moment, because that's when the mind is, it's so hard. It's out of control, and it's taken us to all these, what ifs, oh gosh, life, that anxiety, that horrible, horrible feeling of anxiety. To be able to ground yourself, bring yourself into the room with your senses. And Dr. Jeffrey Hutter taught me, and this is, takes some time, but he created such a safe environment that I could sit with my anxiety. I could sit with it and just be curious about it, how it feels in the body. And once I was able to do that, because, we feel anxious, it feels horrible. We want to run away. We want to avoid. We want to go have a drink. We want to go do this, that, anything but to sit there with it. But he taught me, because he created such a safe environment and a safe relationship, I started to be curious about my anxiety. I could sit with it. When I started meditation, I was in a very anxious place in my life, and it was very hard to do. Very hard to do. I didn't want to do it. But over time and with practice, I can sit now with whatever arises, whether it be anxiety, depression, whatever feeling, I can sit with it. And I don't know why, but then it'll dissipate. And it'll.
Luke, I'm going to turn it back to the auditorium for
Okay, thank you.
I just have one comment, Ron. You asked about how we handle this with our grandchildren, and I reflect back on our upbringings. You were about my age, born during the Depression, suffered through World War II, went through the nuclear bomb scares with the Soviet Union, and et cetera, et cetera. So talk about stress. Yes, there's great stress today, but there was great stress when we were growing up. And reflect back in your own mind, Ron, how you dealt with it, how your parents dealt with it with you. And here you are, 80 plus years old, successful, dynamic person, interested and involved. You have family, I'm sure, and you have a brother who we know is very famous. So, life goes on, rolls around, and we deal with it, I think, in a way that we deal with it at the times that we were there. Thank you.
Duke, I was just going to mention that we all of us as seniors stand on the shoulder of giants that came before us. And there isn't any one of us that hasn't had the kind of help that you had, Duke. And I could look back without necessarily sharing. Anyone in this room and on Zoom could look back at the people that have helped them and of which they have overcome adversities. But we help each other. And I'll turn it back to you.
Yes. I didn't catch your name, sir, but Ed. And that's kind of what I meant, Ed, about like, you can share that with young people. Yeah. Yeah. You can share that. You've been through those times. You know, I was fortunate, like this COVID thing, like I had a pretty good childhood all the way up, you know, and this has startled me, you know, this time period kind of startled me. Like, whoa, what's going on here? I don't understand this. But like I said, Jeffrey helped me put in perspective. Just like you just helped me put it in perspective. I have a podcast. It's called Blankets and Boundaries, Being Present with Our Children. It's okay. It's okay to say we're at the dinner table, no cell phones, no TV, put some boundaries down. It's okay. The kids will be fine. Then they'll start talking and they'll be present, they'll listen, they'll have a conversation. It's okay to put those things in place for our kids. They need to learn. If we don't teach them, they will not learn how to do these things. So I remember there was a question on Zoom about grandkids. It's okay to say, when we're at the table, I grew up, we'd had great conversations around the dinner table, me and my family. Every night we'd sit at the dinner table and have dinner. It's okay to put down some parameters, some boundaries for our kids so that they can learn to be with others. And that touch piece, that's touching. That's great though. That's another thing that we've lost, right? And the pandemic didn't help either. But touch is wonderful. Hey, I'm a big fist pumper to kids, you know. I won't even say anything. I'll just come up, boom. And it's just that boom. They know. Another question?
We have a question here.
Sure.
They get mad.
Ah,
They get mad.
yeah,
Oh,
they
yeah.
do.
They don't want to do it.
That's right. Can you withstand the tantrum? Can you put your foot down and get through that period? Because I see that a lot, unfortunately. And that's what I meant when like they get mad. Okay, fine. Go on your phone. Oh, you've just lost. Yeah, I see Sai shaking his head. You just lost. I know. You're the adult. Okay, you're mad. I'm sorry you're mad. But those are the rules. That's how I was raised. I think it's important for kids to have those parameters. I work with teenagers, and the teenagers I'm most concerned about are the ones who tell me, oh, I get to do whatever I want. I can go out all night. I have this cell phone. I have all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. They are crying out for love and attention, in my opinion. Yes.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Hey.
This was a fabulous presentation.
Hey, thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you.